Hi guys, it's me again, back with another video. I am at Nyalore farm. I came home for the weekend by night bus. I arrived today morning. It's evening and I thought I should bring you guys up to speed with what is happening here. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe. It is good for your health and good for my growth. So kindly subscribe because I'm sure you learned something from these videos. If I told you learn any single thing from these videos, kindly do subscribe. So I'm at Nyalore farm and I want to bring you up to speed with what is happening here. In my previous video, of course, I told you we had planted cabbages and onions. And I think by that time they were just tiny plants. The onions were looking like tiny grasses. They didn't even look like onions. The cabbages looked like they were still struggling to take root. So today I'm back and I want to show you how things are going here. And I've come home and I'm happy with the progress. I am really happy with the progress. These guys are doing a good job. So these are the cabbages, you can see. So in this farm currently we have 3 acres under onions. 3 acres under onions and 2 acres under cabbages. So we are in January, we are ending January. We are hoping by March we'll be harvesting the onions and taking them to the market. And then after that, the cabbages will be ready for the market. So these are the cabbages, and as you can see, they look very good. They look very much okay. The amount of work here is crazy. The watering that they have to do, of course, it's not the rainy season. We are doing this on irrigation and we don't have drip lines. Like I told you guys, we are doing basin irrigation. We sought a quotation to do drip lines and we were told per acre, the person we talked to told us that per acre he was going to do for us at 150,000 per acre. So now that we have 3 acres under onions, that would have been 450. And then we have 2 acres under cabbages. You add to that 300, that would make it 750. And at that point, we did not have money. We had spent all the money in sinking the borehole and of course putting the solar system. And we wanted to recoup that investment. We wanted to earn from, to recover our monies that we had spent on those 2 things. So we thought the best thing to do is to produce something here that will be sold, and then we'll be able to get our money back, the money that we spent on the solar and the borehole, and then we'll be able to get some little extra to start setting up the drip irrigation system. So what we opted to do was to do basin irrigation. So like you can see, all these plants are planted in basins. These are the cabbages. They're planted in basins. So we have pipes. We have long pipes that run through the shamba. Right now they're not on this side of the shamba. They're on that other end. They're on that other end of the shamba. But we have pipes that run through the shamba. So what these guys do, they just put the pipes into the basins. Then when they put like in this basin, this basin here, then in between the basins there are ridges. You see like this ridge here. This one here is a ridge. So once water fills in this basin, then they can open a channel on this ridge so that the water gets into this other basin. So that is how they are doing it. And so far I think they are doing a good job. We've lost some plants, of course, like I told you. In farming, that is the name of the game. You win some, you lose some. So we've lost some plants, but we are not doing so badly. At least from this, we will get a good number of heads of cabbages for the market, and we'll be able to get the money. So, come around March, now that it's dry season, if it doesn't rain, these cabbages will fetch a good price in the market. So if we sell even at 50 or 60 per head, it will be a good thing. So those are the cabbages, and you can see they are looking really good, really good. One thing that is amazing about farming is just seeing how God does his things. How God does his things. He's such an intelligent being, eh? Can you imagine? So those are the cabbages, and they're looking very nice. Especially this basin. The basins on this side, they look very nice. So all they need right now is water. I cannot see any sign of pests. Cannot see any signs of diseases. They just look healthy. And we pray that they stay healthy until harvest time. So cabbages, the soil should not be very damp, otherwise they'll get diseases. So just give them adequate water, but not make the soil very damp. So that is the cabbages section, and this is just one section of the cabbages. This is almost like half an acre. Yeah, this is like half an acre, but on that other end of the farm we have another like 1.5 acre. This side did better than the other side. I'll show you guys. That other side is really struggling because of the water. You see, now we have a very huge section of land under irrigation, and we don't have drip lines. So by the time these guys finish the side of the onions, and then they have to come to the cabbages, sometimes the cabbages are already suffering. So like I told you guys, this section of the land is still not in use because it is under dispute. It's under dispute. So you can see it's still lying fallow, just grass growing here. Now I'm going to the onion section. So these are the onion section. You see, this side the onions are still struggling, but I'm sure they'll catch up. And then what I've realized is that this side is not very fertile. It's not very fertile. I think we'll have to tell our guy, the one who cleans the cow shed, to be bringing manure this side, so that once we have a lot of manure this side and we give it time to get into the soil, then this soil will get better. But for now, this side is not very good. So what is happening currently is the weeding of the onions. You see, this side has a lot of weeds, but as we go down towards the gate there, towards the gate and the solar system and the borehole, you'll see it's cleaner, and you can see the onions they look very good. So this side is not very fertile, so the onions on this side are struggling. But you can see as I go into the farm from this side, they get better and better. They get better and better. So what I realize is that we have to work on our soil on this side of the land, and the other side that is not doing very well is where we had the nursery. I think the nursery took all the nutrients from the soil. So this side is looking okay. This side looks very much okay, but they're still struggling. So once they are watered, they'll be okay. But let me just walk you through the farm, and you'll be seeing how it changes as I go towards the gate. So these are onions. This side has not been weeded. There's a lot of weeding that needs to be done, but the weeding is actually just by uprooting the weeds, because you cannot come in here with a djembe. You will be cutting the onions. But you can see the bulbing has started. Yeah. Are you seeing? The bulbing has started. They've started forming bulbs. So what happened here, when we started planting the onions, first of all, we bought our seeds. The variety that we planted is called red coach. Red coach, found in the market. Now there are very many different varieties. Some expensive, some are cheap, some are. But now how you choose, we got expert advice. The person who runs our farm is an agronomist. We got an agronomist, the one who runs this farm. So he advised us to go for red coach because of the germination percentage. The seed performs very well. So when we planted, we did the nursery. So the nursery was on that end of the farm, and we did the nursery. They stay in the nursery for 1 month. 1 month they were in the nursery. So we planted the red coach, bought it from Nairobi, not from Simlo Seeds. There's a company, I forget the name. I'll get the name and I'll give you guys. I'll put it in as a subtitle in the video. So we got the seeds, we brought them here. Now when establishing the nursery, the first fertilizer that we used was DAP. I think DAP is diammonium phosphate, yeah? So we planted with DAP. You can see the onions. This side still not doing very well. I think these ones are the ones that were planted later. The planting started from that end and came this way. So the ones that were planted later are not yet very good. And you can see the ridges that are used for irrigating. So the water just runs in through these ridges. Then they open a gate. It fills that basin. They shut that gate and open that end so that the water goes just into the ridges as it goes. So I was telling you about the nursery. Established the nursery here. We put a shade over it just to keep them from the sun and also the very heavy rains. Then we started with DAP. Then after 1 month, they were transplanted onto this field. Now the transplanting was a lot of work. You can see how close to each other they were grown. They are very close to each other, and this was done so that they can regulate the size of onions that we get. There's a size that we are targeting. There's a size of onion that we are targeting. So hence the distance between plants. That was advice from the agronomist. So you can see that basin. You see, as we go lower in the farm, the plants are bigger and healthier because the planting started from this end coming upwards. So the distance between plants is to regulate the size. So upon planting, they allowed the seedlings to establish. Then after that, they put a fertilizer called Yara Power. Now Yara Power is now to give them the energy, to give the roots the energy to start moving. And then of course watering. So after some time, after a month in the field, after a month or 3 weeks, they did top dressing with CAN. Top dressing was done with CAN. So after that top dressing, you see, this basin is still struggling. They still look like little grasses. So these are some of the areas that need to be looked at. Maybe the soil is just not healthy, or because I can see they watered, there is sign that they have been watered, but it seems like the soil on this end is just not healthy. So something needs to be done about the soil on this end. But now as we go down, you can see they look much better, especially the sections that have been weeded. They look much better. So we are expecting that harvesting will be done in early March. Another thing about onions, they don't like a lot of rain, and they don't like very cold weather. They need warmth. They need warmth. So if your farm is in a very cold place, onions will not do very well. Also, don't put too much water, just enough water. Don't make it too damp so that you avoid fungal infections. So another thing that has cost us is, of course, medicines. What are they called? Are they medicines or what? Products to control the fungal infections. You don't want to plant the whole of this section and then have fungal infections destroying your entire crop population. So those are our onions, 3 acres of onions, and you can see the whole of that region is under onions. The whole of that region. So weeding is continuing. This side they're still not yet weeded, but you can see bulbing has started. So what we are supposed to do right now is put a fertilizer called the Yara Finisher. Yara Finisher is supposed to help them to now form the bulbs. And once they form the bulbs, within 1 month, they'll be having the bulbs ready. And then in early March, I think I'll come back at the time when they will be harvesting. So the last time we were here was beginning of January. That was 2nd of January. And if you have watched my previous video, you should have seen how tiny these plants were. But now it's only 4 weeks later, and you can see how big they are. So if we give them 4 more weeks, you can only imagine how far they'll have gone, and they'll be approaching harvest time. So what we came with was the fertilizer to help them with forming the bulbs. And once the bulbs are formed, that is what we are targeting, of course. We come and we harvest, and then take them to the market. See how much a kg will be going for. So what we were advised also is how to study the market. In the last month, we've been having a lot of onions in the Kenyan market, onions from Tanzania. Lots of onions from Tanzania. But now you study the market, you know at what point Tanzanians are usually flooding our Kenyan market with onions, and at what point, so you time your harvesting to coincide with the time when the market is not flooded. And we are really hoping that we did that right, so that at the time when we'll be harvesting, we'll have market for these onions. But you can see how good they look. They look very much okay, very, very much okay. So the other end of the farm, are you seeing the other end of the farm? Let me walk towards that end so that you can see. We have the other acreage and cabbages. That is around 1.5 acres. Up there, we had half an acre. And then this other end now, we have 1.5 acres of cabbages. Now this end, you see it's very far from the borehole. The borehole is there. Then you have to go all that way to that other end. Now that other end, and then it's uphill. It looks like you're going uphill. So water was not getting there so well, and also there was a lot of work being done on the side of the onions. So a lot of concentration was put on the onions in terms of pouring water. So I'm thinking, sometimes I tend to think we beat more than we could chew, but it's not all bad. It still looks good. We are still going to get lots of cabbages here, and of course lots of onions, and we are going to sell. And we see how much we'll be able to recover of our investment and what profits we are going to realize. But you see, even if we just recover our investment and we don't make a profit, in the next season, we'll be able to make a profit. So it's not a loss. It's still not a loss. So this is the other end that is under cabbages. Because some sections of the farm are not very healthy. The soils are not very healthy. Not to say that we can't do anything about it, because we will. So these are cabbages on this end. They don't look so bad. They don't look so bad, only that for some basins we lost everything. Like we have a basin here that is really struggling. Look at the neighbor. And the weeding also has to be done. This basin is struggling. This basin we seem to have lost everything. This one, so some sections are struggling, some sections are okay. But you can see we still have a good crop going. So we will get cabbages out of here. We will get lots of cabbages to sell, and we are estimating that at the point we will be selling, maybe it will be retailing at 50 shillings per head or something thereabouts. So we were targeting to have 20,000 heads of cabbages, 20,000. But even if we don't get to 20,000 and we get to around 15, that will still be okay. But let's wait and see. At that point, I'll let you know, guys. I'll let you guys know how we will have done. But they don't look so bad. They just need water. So these guys right now are concentrating on the onions. Once they're through with the onions, they will come this side and water the cabbages. But it looks really, really, really good. Really good. The wonders of God. So like this section, you see, they're already even forming heads. They're already forming heads. So those are the cabbages at Nyalore farm. Like I told you, on that end, as you go uphill, we are going to plant orange trees, citrus. We're going to plant some orange trees. That is something that is in the plans. That is in the plans. So these are our cabbages. They don't look bad, they look good. They are okay, they are okay, they are okay. Sometimes when you call these guys and they tell you how much work they have, you tend to think that we might not be able to realize our goals. But I really appreciate what they are doing. I really, really do appreciate. And when we do harvest and we sell, they will get a bonus. They will get bonuses here. They must get bonuses. In fact, that is something we will have to do for them. Now we have 4 guys. We have 4 gentlemen who help us here. Like I told you guys, us guys are in Nairobi. Kiserian to be precise, but we work in Nairobi. So we are not usually here other than a weekend or a holiday that we find time and come over. So you really need people who have their hearts in the right place to do this. So we have 4 gentlemen who work here. Those are Willie, Alex, Jack and Dan. They're the ones who work on our farm. So we've divided them such that 2 of them take care of the bees and the cattle up there, and then 2 of them concentrate on the farm, the onions and the cabbages down here, and of course the mangoes. So what happens when the guys from the cattle, the dairy section, are done with their work, especially when we have to do the weeding, then they come and help in uprooting the weeds. Now they help each other like that, because the work at the dairy unit is not so much. Once they have food and their shed is clean and they have water, that is it. So the rest of the time they can come to the farm and help. So when there's too much work to be done, then we source for casual laborers to come and also just to boost the manpower on the farm here. So you can see this section has been weeded. You can see the weeds. They uproot and they just put them in between on the ridges. In between, see those pipes? So the pipes run like that. See, that pipe is running from that end, coming this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. It's a very long pipe, very long pipe. So they can just move with it on the farm. So when it is sunny and the solar is pumping, when the water is pumped, of course, now they move with the pipe to in between these ridges. Open a basin, fill it up, make a channel to the next basin, it fills up like that. That is how they are doing the watering. It's a lot of work, but they are managing, and I really appreciate the work they are doing. So these are the onions. Look at them. They look so nice. They look really, really, really nice. I can only imagine what they will look like when I come back in March. I'm planning to take some time off in March to come, especially around the harvesting time, so that I can supervise the harvesting. If it is possible, both of us will come. If it is not, then I will come alone. But for this weekend, we just came, the 2 of us, rushed over to see how things are going, to reinforce where any areas that need reinforcement, to correct any areas that need correction. And of course, we brought fertilizer to help these onion plants to finish their journey. It is a journey for them also, a journey of growing and being productive. So those are our onions. It's evening, nighttime is approaching, and I'm just taking a walk through the farm. And I decided to share with you guys what is happening here. Yeah, see, bulbs are forming and they look very good. I told you the variety is red coach. We did a nursery lasted for 1 month. Planting the nursery, we used DAP fertilizer. We bought our seeds on the advice of an agronomist from a company that I will let you guys know the name. I forget the name, but they were quite expensive. We bought them at 25,000 shillings per kg. They're quite expensive, but the germination percentage is what we were targeting. There are other varieties, but they might not perform as well as this variety. So once we bought that and planted the nursery, then we did the transplanting. We transplanted and did top dressing with CAN. Top dressing with CAN. After top dressing, now we brought fertilizer to finish this journey. In between all those processes, there is control of fungal infections. You don't want to put such an investment and lose the whole of it to fungal infections. So that is the farm. That is what it looks like. You can see this end very clean, already weeded. Up there, not yet weeded, but I'm sure they will work on it. That other end, cabbages are doing well. So 3 acres under onions, 2 acres under cabbages. We wait and see how much we will realize out of all this. So those are the onions. You guys tell me, do they look okay? And please, 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 if you have not subscribed to my channel, you're not being good to me. Honestly, you are really not being good to me.